still sitting store what I'm about to preach on. Damn, sister, close the door. Watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way. But don't let that get you down, girl.
Yes. Hey, sister. How are you?
Hey, I'm here. How are you?
I'm good. It's Sunday morning and technology was just in the mood to relax this morning.
Yes. Oh, okay. So I have my workout. Yeah, I have my workout. Making sure that we found a way that it could happen, and it wasn't
Yeah.
without my sister. So happy
Yeah.
International Women's Day, E-Day, Women's Day
Yeah.
Eve, because
Eve,
without
yeah.
each other we can't do much, right? We're not. We need each other's talents and abilities to get us through. Yeah. So thanks
Yes.
for
Yes.
asking.
It's always good when we have small practical examples of where the sisterhood functions,
Mhm.
because there's so many other alternative stories.
Right.
Oh, when women get together, it's so much drama, or women this and women that, and there are all these other possible stories out there. But then we can counteract those stories with, but hey, now I actually have an experience that says, we're going to figure it out together. We're going to work on it together. We're going to make sure we get there,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
For this
absolutely.
morning, that's March 7th, 2021. The technical issue that was worked out by women, for women. We are here. All right.
Yes, yes, please. Now, we have a little something that we share. You were born in which country?
Here. I was actually born
You were
here.
born
Yeah.
here. I didn't know you were born here.
Trying to play a Vinci, but no, I'm born here in Canada, born and raised. I had a
Uh-huh.
hiatus to the Caribbean. So for about
Ah.
11 years, I lived down there, and that really helped shape my life. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I grew up with the culture um,
Mm-hmm.
on Canadian or stolen land soil. So
Yeah.
both of my parents, their roots, young roots, not the deep
Mm-hmm.
roots, but young roots are St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where I get that heritage from. Deeper
Yeah.
roots are all over the place. So I was speaking with a with a naturopath this morning, making an
Mm-hmm.
appointment, and he joked, saying that, "Well, you are the international woman based on your ancestry." So he said they don't really need anything else; they just put you there, international, right?
There
All
you
of that
go.
place, and that's great, and it's what defines. I mean, most of our people in the Black diaspora, we have a mixed heritage, which is
Mhm.
completely normal and fine. We don't question it. It's not something unusual where we have to say,
Mhm.
"What are we?" We already know, you know. But
Yeah.
depending on what the diaspora you're from, it manifests in a different way.
Mhm.
So some along the journey, that's something that I've learned, meeting other people who have maybe a little more difficulty understanding who they are because of a mixed heritage,
Mhm.
whereas we're like, no,
Mhm.
like this is who we are, you know. So,
Yeah. Well, I had the pleasure of living in St. Vincent when I was young,
oh,
and I remember it very clearly. I have very strong memories of my time there.
okay,
Um, yeah, I went to school there.
okay.
I had had friends there, run around outside barefoot and play,
Right?
bathing rivers, drink goat milk and eat bakes in the morning. Like I loved it.
You had it nice. Okay. Yeah,
Yes.
that's St. Vincent. And the beautiful thing is that I actually, when I went down there first, after Cuba, which I'll get into a little bit later if one of the areas allows me to, but after Cuba, I ended up studying at University of the West Indies at Cave Hill campus in Barbados. So I was in
What?
Barbados 3 years, but the living, because my family had moved back, was in St. Vincent. And it was really, it was a great time of learning and growing because being here in Canada, you miss out on so much of that part of your
Yeah.
life. Like I think back to my childhood. I was, because you're thinking, what am I going to say in this interview about womanhood and International Women's Day? That whole theme about being a woman, and one of the things was losing out on my childhood because of
Mhm.
growing up here in Canada. We didn't
Mhm.
have those times, especially in an urban setting or a more
Mhm.
a setting with even the suburbs. You were not necessarily exposed to a country life, getting to go out
Mhm.
in nature, and
Mhm.
just even the interaction socially that you
Mhm.
would have gotten to experience in St. Vincent. I missed out on so much of that. Um,
Mhm.
so much so that when I went to St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I had gone there at 2. So I have memories of but as a 2-year-old, you're eating a lot of greenery, eating a lot of fruit, playing with, by the beach. But going back as a teenager really opened my eyes as to how much I missed having sisterhood, having friends, having people who
Mhm.
looked like me, just being able to be yourself without fear of getting ridiculed and being called names, which was a daily occurrence for me here in I'm I'm in Toronto. So in the GTA going out to Durham, it was a horrible time in the 80s. I mean, it was not easy growing up, let alone
Mhm.
trying to define yourself as a female. They didn't even see you as human. So
Right.
it just like what about womanhood or childhood being a girl? You're just trying to be left alone to be seen as another
Mhm.
human being. And by the
Yeah.
time you're 5 years old, for me, that was my personal experience. Later on, finding out that other Black children, people, have gone through the same experience. By the time you reach about 5, that
Mhm.
cute, innocent, look at that adorable kid, that's gone. You're just another,
Mhm.
I don't want to mess up the show, but N-word was a regular term of
Really? That's you grew up with that?
what everything you can think of, being spat
Wow.
upon, called
Wow.
names,
Mhm.
physical, mostly mental, all types
Mhm.
of stuff. The biggest bullies for Black children here, even I would say today, is the white or racist teacher. Because as
Mm.
a child, you're in a classroom, that teacher has full control and they
Mhm.
are helping to define you. They're
Mhm.
working on your psyche, all the children, not just Black children, but they
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
control. They're molding and shaping the next generation through teaching. So if they have um, an issue and a bias, who's in the classroom
It'll
to
translate. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So the majority of a lot of abuse came from teachers, came from the
Mhm.
system. And then you didn't
Mhm.
necessarily have a squad or a team if you're not coming from a big family. Who do you
Mhm.
have at the school to say stand up for you? So I had to um, really, it's a sink or swim. You're either gonna make
Mhm.
it or you're not. And luckily, I had parents who were not absent in my life. They were very
Right.
active to
Mhm.
advocate. That made a big difference in the outcome of
Mhm.
my education. Had they not been there, had they not been
Mhm.
doing that part, yeah, I wouldn't have made it. Yeah, but
Yeah. And that's so key. I mean, that advocating on behalf of our children and equipping our children to then be able to advocate on their own behalf as they grow, by setting that example as parents. That is so key and so crucial. It's really interesting hearing that, because I didn't grow up in a situation where I was considered a minority as a melanated person. I was in a majority country. I saw my leaders around me looked and sounded like me and whatnot. And I didn't understand what it meant to be Black in North America until I moved here. And I honestly, I really could not even like connect with the Black American mentality, you know? And then I realized when I moved to New York at the time that other people were going to see me walking on the train, in a cab, whatever. They were going to see me and immediately put me in a class and put me in a group. And I needed to understand what that meant, and how this was now about to affect me, and to see the systemization and the entrenchment of racism and how it plays out differently in the US from in Canada, but still very much present,
Oh, yeah. I mean, I look at the last year and, some of the activities that have taken place since. And a lot of people were suffering because of not just what happened, because this happens every day. It's not like there isn't an occurrence of police brutality and other killings that are racially motivated, but the use of the media and also the environment of being in a pandemic, it just kind of created that formula and right suit to cause this mass outcry and hysteria. And also, I like to say cabin fever, because most of those people that were watching don't really care about
the cause.
yeah, they don't care about the next person that's really being hurt. They just care about looking good. They want to look right. Oh, I would never do that. Like I'm marching too, right?
Yeah.
I when it started, and then I saw, some of my fellow brothers and sisters reacting and, having kind of like a breakdown, mental, nervous breakdowns, and getting affected. And I said to myself, huh? Did you not go through this? Or was I the only one? And I had a dear sister, a younger one. I reached out to her because I could see social media wise not doing great, and actually said they're not doing great. So I just reached out. And after having about an hour conversation, not being an expert in the field, I'm not a counselor, but I said, go back to your childhood here in this country. What did you really go through? And is this something new? And by the time we were done, she was fine, because she said, yeah, it's always been this. I said, yeah, nothing's changed. All you can do now as an adult is you can pour yourself into the activities that you know are helping people, right? If that's what you want to do what you want to do, but don't react as if this is something that hasn't happened before,
Yes.
right? And don't be
And that
shocked.
is the transformation, right? That's a transformation, going from it happened, but now I can do something to help. Like that happened and it gives me empathy, it gives me perspective, it gives me opportunity to now turn it into service, and that is where the empowerment comes from, when we tap into our stories. Like you helped her tap into her own story to realize, wait a minute, this is a running theme.
Yeah, she has one. All the things that I'm not knowing the person well, but what I can see that she's doing, it's obvious that she did turn um, pain, disappointment, and certain setbacks that would be marked by racism or sexism or whatever ism it was, and she has now turned it around with other sisters, mind you, to
Yes.
be able, other women, to be able to minister, help, assist youth. So why is she helping youth? Could it be because her childhood had some setbacks, like how my childhood had some setbacks? Um, when we fight and when we advocate, then we know that there's another side to it. We're not
Yes.
defeated, right? And if
Yes.
we, Harriet Tubman, she reached the other side. she didn't stay there. She went back.
That's
So
right.
usually, if you have, I don't know what it would be, if it's a heart for the people or just that mind to, if you liberate yourself, I think most times you automatically reach a position where you become either an example or you
Mm-hmm.
become a motivator for others. And
That's right.
naturally, people can ask you, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Show me so I can reach there, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that willingness when they do reach out to be able to say, like you did, with the sister. And I know that's one example that you've given, but knowing you, Simone, I know that there are probably so many more examples of times where you've reached out and said to, hey sis, like, what's going on here? How can I help? What do you need? And that is really, if we have learned anything from the pandemic, we've learned the value of community.
Mm-hmm.
We've learned that we can define community differently.
Yeah.
We've learned the value of touch. We've learned the value of an embrace, by having these restrictions upon us that now say, well, no, it's not healthy to physically do the thing that, brings the most comfort to our soul. And so we've learned to adapt and to redefine community and whatnot, and it is a beautiful thing. It's not everything because we still do need that physical embrace.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a beautiful thing that we can say, you know what, isolation is not natural. So we will find the ways,
Mm-hmm.
we will create those touch points where we can. We will actually work harder to stay in touch. We will work harder to be authentic, to be vulnerable, to be open.
Yep.
So yeah. Now we've been we've been talking all throughout our journeys and countries, and I can't wait to hear more about your life in Cuba. And and one of the things too. Sorry.
I said, ay, qué rico. Yes.
And one of the things that you talked about is even like that difference, that Caribbean experience in different Caribbean territories, and there's a big assumption that we're all just lumped together. So, it must all be
Mhm.
identical. There's so many similar themes that run throughout our cultures and our histories and whatnot. And then there are these beautiful differences, between us. I love waking up in a different Caribbean island. I just love that morning
Yeah.
part where it feels like Barbados at the beginning. Like, my eyes are now opening and it feels like Barbados. And then I hear a bird that I
Yeah.
don't hear in Barbados, or I see a skyline that's different.
Mhm.
And then I remember, oh, wait a minute, I'm not in
Yeah.
Barbados, but I'm still home. I love that. I love that feeling.
I used to enjoy that. I did sciences, so that was my area of study, biology, mainly, but going into ecology and whatnot. And I did a bit of human um, sciences as well. But that was one of the things that I loved. I loved being able to look at the biodiversity, hear the
Yeah.
sounds, and people are in there too. We're biological beings, so
Yeah.
hearing the accent, the voice,
Yes.
listening to the tone, how each other is talking to each other, and for me, it was the lizard that would come into the room. You know,
Yes.
lizards were different, it wasn't always a little gecko. Sometimes there were a tree
Yes.
lizard, and they had a different one in Jamaica versus the one over in St. Vincent. So those
Yes.
are the things that got me excited. I don't know about anybody else, but when you mentioned the birds, that was something that was really it was like a nice natural alarm.
Mm-hmm.
Besides the rooster was a little bit invasive because they'd start early, and sometimes if they realized you're in the room, they would make it their business to come at a very, even before the sun had come up. It's daybreak, the sun isn't up yet, and they would come right to the window. Make sure you hear
Yeah.
them. The other birds, you know, and that was nice. Yeah.
Oh my God. So yeah, y'all, for those of you who haven't had the pleasure, when all this craziness is done, find yourselves in the Caribbean, and yeah, soak it up, man. Now, Simone, we did not get here where we are willy nilly. We didn't just wake up one day and find ourselves where we are. We've had lots of experiences. You mentioned your studies, you've mentioned places you've been, you've mentioned growing up here.
Mhm.
And yet we are where we are, and we've come together, to share and to impact women and to grow within ourselves. Now, we couldn't have gotten here without vision,
Mhm.
and we can't go where we're going next without vision.
Mhm.
So, in your opinion, what is the importance of us as visionary women, clarifying our vision?
I think it's key. It's key to keep you on track to fulfill your mission. So without a
Mm-hmm.
vision, how are you going to fulfill a mission, right?
That's
Because we
right.
really actually have a mission. The mission is the doing part,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you can have a vision all you want. If you don't actually do it, that's all you really had. You had an imagination, you had something you could see, a picture, but
Yeah.
then to put yourself in that picture and get the parts moving, right? We don't
Mm-hmm.
want to just be here and die with a picture, right? Even
Mm-hmm.
a picture in itself has to be, it's a picture of something or a
Mm-hmm.
place or an action, like a still motion picture, right? But the still motion is not getting you the results. The
That's right.
still motion part is just showing you maybe a blueprint. But if you don't
Mm-hmm.
follow the blueprint, get the materials and actually actively put it together, then you won't be able to fulfill a mission. So
Yes.
even learning now more about our tradition, and from
Mm-hmm.
our ancestors, learning tradition really is all about mission. But
Mm-hmm.
to have a mission, you got to see it. So vision comes in that sense. Now, sometimes you don't know your mission. A lot of our people don't know their mission. A lot of women may not know their mission because at times, depending on how you've been shaped, molded, who is influencing you, you are following maybe actions and you are doing certain things that isn't really your role. It's not your mission. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
you're fulfilling someone else's. It could be that nine
Mm-hmm.
to five job. It could be just being a part of an organization. It's not working for you.
Mm-hmm.
Is it your mission? So vision helps you. Painting that
Mm-hmm.
picture that you can see yourself in can help you to get into on the right pathway, if you
Yeah.
will, to get
Yeah.
to where you need to be. Um, right now, again, still motion isn't getting you anywhere because if you're on a journey and on a path, you can't be in still motion.
That's right.
So the vision is important, but make sure it's yours. Make sure you see,
Mm.
make sure it works for you, and then from there you get moving, right?
Mhm.
'Cause as you get moving, yeah, there's gonna be some experiences along the way. You don't wanna stay there, but at least you keep moving on the journey, right?
Mhm.
So, it's it's a process. The younger you are that you have the vision plain and written out, it can make it a bit easier, and I
Mhm.
think that's the rule for a lot of women. Whether you're a mother or not, you're a nurturer, you can be somebody in the life of a young person to help
Mhm.
them to get there faster than you did, than I did. Um,
Yeah.
because again, there's a lot of pitfalls and setbacks along the way because society is not aligned necessarily to help, not aligned to help women, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
we have to chart our own way. But in charting our own way, when you go back to the Caribbean again, when you have that cutlass and you're going through that thick bush, the people behind you have an easier time.
That's
It's,
right.
oh, get rid of this,
That's right.
right? But the person behind you is going to have an easier time. That's what trailblazers.
Exactly.
A trailblazer will do that for you, and my hope is to see more international women be that trailblazer. I'll give you an example. I went to the bank the other day Shout out if this woman is listening. I don't know. Anyway, and the teller was sharing a story with me because I told her Happy International Woman Day coming
Okay.
up. It
Okay.
was, I guess it was Friday. I don't know. The bank was open, and we started talking, and of course she started telling me. We spoke about pandemic. That's a given. But then after that, we started talking about Women's Day and whatnot, and something about the jobs we have. And then she started telling me, lamenting that, she didn't really do that much in life compared to maybe her son. Because of what I told her, she had that 9 to 5, she was constricted. She was talking about some of the things she regretted, maybe feeling that way in a place of regret. So I looked at her and I said, but how did your son get there? I said, who helped him? I said, he
Exactly.
got it from you. So after
Exactly.
you helped her, all of a sudden she was so great. She's like, I never thought about it that way. I said, yeah, you paved the way for him. So he has you to thank. I'm sure he's grateful, right? I said, yeah. And I let her know. I said, a lot of women, depending on the, chronological point of their life, like, the elder, there's a lot of women out there who will never have a huge pension. You know, is that what our life is about? Not all is about getting a big payback with fiat money. There
Yeah.
are women who worked the full-time double shift moonlighting job of raising a family.
Yeah. Yeah.
And their fruit, the proof of their labor is in the success of their children. Now,
Yes.
this society, this one in particular will say that, oh, she did not have a career, she didn't go out there. Well, I beg to differ because
She was working hard.
her legacy is there. It just didn't go in credits for a pension, or it
Yeah.
didn't go in because it didn't meet a certain criteria.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that the work was not put in, and it doesn't mean that the reward was maybe even greater than some of those people that have a big pension to go home with. Now, I'm not saying just forget it all. And what I'm saying is we have to put things into perspective,
Perspective. Yeah.
uh, not view our life based on those measures sometimes, right? Because we can miss the greatness that we contributed to society.
Yes. Yes. I mean, that
So,
whole idea of make sure the vision is yours,
mhm,
bringing everything that you're saying full circle, when when I'm living the life that I'm called to live and I'm
mhm,
showing up with everything that I have and I'm leaving it all on the table and I'm, like you said, I'm taking the action towards the end goal. In her circumstance, a lot of that action was towards making sure her son's opportunities were different and improved compared to hers.
yeah,
And so making sure that the vision is your own. We can at times be completely swept up in fulfilling somebody else's vision.
mhm,
And I think that's the power of collaboration over competition. Collaboration says you define your vision, I'll define my vision, and we will connect where they naturally align. You
yes,
know, whereas competition says I must subvert you so
mhm,
that you can then, you then have to fall in line with
mhm,
my thing, and sometimes then even that conversation of trust, can I trust that my vision can be realized here? Can I trust, that we can build this together? And that's where the healing has to come from within the community that says, all right, well, the only way to know if we can do it
mhm.
together is to actually do it together. Right?
There
The
you
only
go.
way to pray is to do.
The
Right?
action, right? You have to have the action. The action part
Yes,
must be. You can tweak your action, but just get moving. Don't
that's
stay there.
right.
Get moving.
Exactly.
Now, do a pilot project. Get going.
Mhm.
Find the people
Start.
along the way. There's a lot of duds that will come. Yeah, they're gonna come
Yeah.
because once they say movement, they want to follow. You ever been in a vehicle? Usually, I haven't really seen it happen here, but in certain parts of the world, you may have an interesting vehicle, and then you just look behind you, a whole bunch of people are running behind you. It's because it's something moving. People like
Yeah.
move. They want to get
Yeah.
attached. Doesn't necessarily mean they know where you're going or they're even watching.
Right.
They're not
It's
even
true.
sure reaching the destination. They just want to
Yeah.
move.
We're just attracted to movements. Yes.
Yeah. Have you
Yes.
ever
That
had
is so
someone
true.
tell you, whatever you're doing, I want to do it too. I want to go with you. Like wherever you're going. It's like, you don't know where I'm going. Have you you know where I'm coming from?
Do you know where you're going? Right.
I know what people saying that. I'm saying, okay, well, that sounds good, but I think you need to, maybe they need a vision. They need to catch a
Yes.
vision. Wow.
Exactly, exactly. And I think, another point that you mentioned in terms of the younger you can start defining that vision, the better.
Yeah.
And understanding that as you grow, that vision also grows.
Mhm.
As you change and learn and develop, your vision should reflect that
Mhm.
growth. You shouldn't
Yeah.
feel locked into, like you said, the imagination you had at 5 years old. That's
Right.
there to fuel you, not there to confine you.
Your vision is
Um,
actually very dynamic. It can be dynamic.
mhm,
It can
mhm,
be, it can be something that becomes bigger. It
mhm.
doesn't have to stay limited. You
That's
know,
right.
for me, I have I had a lot of church activity in my past where I spent a lot of time serving. So that's a whole other area where it was a lot of serving, outreach with people, helping, But I remember having um, a couple come to do like a financial assessment. I think it was Primerica. Anyway, I'm not going to do the shameless plugs. I'm not for or against. They came to help, which was nice. That was some years back. And they sat with me, but they were Seventh-day Adventists, and they were also ministers. So, doing and looking at numbers and crunching, then they asked me, what's my mission? So now we're going on to
Mm,
mission
mhm,
church or ministry, thing like that,
mhm,
right? And I started in, oh, well, I'm in the choir, and oh, I do outreach, and yeah, some stuff like that. And she
mhm.
looked at me and they both kind of watched each other and chuckled. So I'm thinking, what did I say wrong? you know? And then they said, no, no, no. What did God give you?
Mm,
What is your God given ministry? What is it that you know you are here to
mhm.
do? And when they told me that, all that other stuff about ministry and church activity and different things just melted away. And I was like, I'm here to help
Yes,
my people, to bring them
that's right.
back to themselves. You know,
Yeah.
is what
And
I
so
want.
now it's not about
And then,
just busy. No, it's not about just doing for the sake of doing, but it's
right.
activity that's driven from within. And they did something amazing there in that conversation. They asked you to go deeper and use your voice to to actually vocalize the vision that was in
Mhm.
there. They didn't give you any new information. They asked you a question and they created space for your voice. Are
Mhm.
there other times where you felt as though maybe the opposite happened? Maybe your voice was diminished or silenced?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Hard to do. As you can see, I love to talk. But mm, yeah, I was thinking about those times too, because I said, okay, maybe I should really, dig in and remember the times as a woman, as in
Mhm,
femininity being diminished or blocked. And,
mhm,
you think about one of the most recent examples is, and I'm not knocking being a secretary in any organization. I actually am. I do carry that role in maybe one or two right now, happily. But that was something that used to really, really annoy me, where in a boardroom setting,
mhm.
you have people around the room and okay, you're the only female. Who's gonna be the scribe today? And oh, yeah, everybody's twiddling their thumbs, and then they're all looking at you, and they're like, "Oh, Simone, can you take the notes, please? Would you like to be our secretary?" And I'm thinking, actually, no. why am I the only one being suggested? That used to happen all
Yeah.
the time, all over the places I went to. They
Yeah.
always wanted the female to be the secretary. And I'm not knocking the secretarial work, but I'm just saying, why are you making that assumption about me?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I'm writing, it's very difficult then if you are now being the scribe to be able to contribute, because that's a big
Mhm.
responsibility in itself. Very big responsibility to be
Right.
a scribe, to be a secretary. But if the
Mhm.
meeting is set up in such a way where you're not considering that, then that person who is now being that note taker and recorder is not going to be able to contribute as much to the meeting. And most
Right.
times, the meeting would be structured that way. So it's almost like it's predetermined to shut you up. You know,
Mhm.
yeah, you're industrious. Do that for us.
Right.
You
Yeah. Good
know,
job over
or
there. Yeah.
yeah, or other times where you're in a setting for leadership. Very many times in the in the church for running certain programs and then having more of a male pastoral
Mhm.
leadership over you and not allowing certain women, not just myself, but seeing other women um, being muted and knowing
Mhm.
that they had the answer to some of the challenges that were there, or knowing that they would have been the better one to run a program. I've seen that all throughout
Mhm.
it. Um, Also, just in the role, in the type of jobs that I have
Mhm.
taken. All right, so I did biology, so being in agriculture, being in
Right.
production of feeds, flour, things like that. So you're in a factory setting. You're in
Mhm.
standards bureau. So a lot of the roles that I had, it was very male dominated in terms of
Mhm.
who was out there in the field. Not that it didn't bother me. I actually like working very much with men. I do.
Mhm.
But you will run into those times where, because of that, um, there may be some that don't want to work with women and act out as
Right.
a result of it. So that
Yeah.
happened. That would happen a lot. Sometimes it would be worse than others, but
Yeah.
you already know based on the reaction when you walk into the setting, or
Yeah.
um, I used to quite like when you have to like inspect a huge cargo ship, and
Mhm.
then you're a female going up these. Like, have you seen the size of those ships? And then you're climbing up that rope ladder, and you get on board, and it's these men that have been traveling for months on this big ship, and they're all watching it. Oh, that's our inspector. You know, yeah, I mean, I never really let it stop me because I put myself there. I
Right.
put myself there, so I already knew that there will be times, but there have been more interesting times where you're not only muted by, say, men, but also muted by women,
Yes. Yep.
because you can be very much muted by women, especially when the
Yep.
women are wanting to defend. I think nowadays they call them pick me's. There's this social
Oh.
media banter about women who will be in a role of leadership or in a role where they have influence and wanting to be accepted by the mainstream, that kind of misogynistic kind
Yeah.
of, because in Canada we have that same
Yeah.
kind of misogynistic
Yeah.
thread through most of the industries, and women who
Yeah.
get into power now become that bully.
They become,
Become
yes, yes.
that
And
and so
sometimes they
harder
even
than a man.
overdo it.
Yes, exactly. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I've had a situation like that where I was um I had actually a very important area where I was muted or diminished because of dealing with women's issues in my
Mm.
body, and a woman is the one who tried to dismiss it and actually have me, I don't know what I would call it, try to deny me the right to heal. Like, it was
Wow.
terrible, and it was sad that it was a female. Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
people saying, "Can this be a human rights issue?" It's another
Mhm.
woman to a woman,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
really bad. And it makes you want to go into like a little cocoon because now, they're making you look a certain way before other people to almost say that you're not going through what you're going through.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Great respect for some of the women I see out there talking about things. Not that I have that necessary condition, but it's similar where there are a lot of reproductive issues that our
mm-hmm,
fellow sisters all around the world may be facing. Um,
mm-hmm.
and now we have more female advocates who have those challenges who speak out about it
Yes,
because
yes,
it goes right back to what you said at the beginning about empathy.
yes.
You have to have empathy. If you didn't go through it, if you have, you know, stress-free womb, good for you.
Mm,
You have to know that other women don't have that situation. And
exactly.
to
Mm,
use something like that against another woman or to
yeah.
use something very
To
personal,
weaponize it. Yeah.
yeah, it's
Mm-hmm,
a very sad thing. So I think those are some very touchy areas where you've maybe I would have faced someone trying to diminish or silence you based on the sensitivity around it. And you're saying, how do
mm-hmm,
I stand up as a woman and say, no, you have no right to do this to
mm-hmm.
me? And
Yeah.
because the conversations will be between, say, a doctor where the doctor's saying that person's out of their mind, how could they say that versus your
Right.
employer? It's like,
Right.
yeah, so all I can say is I keep moving. That's it. Move.
Yes.
If you don't keep moving through it all, you're not going to make it. So keep
That's
moving.
right.
Keep
That's right.
moving. If someone abuses you, keep moving. I'm not telling you how to move. I'm just telling you to move.
Move. Yeah. It's so true. It's so true because nobody knows that situation until they're in it. So
Yeah.
no one can tell you which direction to move, but we know for sure move.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a lot of silencing that happens, I find.
Mm-hmm.
So women on women silencing or just silencing in
Mm-hmm.
general because other people have never had the resolve that they needed, never had someone to look out for them. And so
Yes.
if they see someone else going through, I don't know if you'd call it that they become hardened inside or
Mm-hmm.
mechanism to deflect that they have also gone through it, where they say,
Yeah.
oh, there's that saying, misery loves company. So rather than
Yes.
resolving and coming to a, a better place for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
they'll be like, I went through, so
Yeah.
what? Like,
Yeah.
suck it up. So those are areas where people they attempt to keep you muted, but it's how long it
Mm-hmm.
stay down.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. And I mean, there's so many things in there that you said that were so poignant. And I really hope that our sisters are listening carefully and taking solid note because we have the ability to create space for other voices. And
Mm-hmm.
we have the ability to shut voices down. We all carry that power,
Mm-hmm. We do.
including our own. And so we must take the responsibility then, to actually act in ways that will amplify voices,
Mhm.
that will give more and more opportunity for stories to be heard and for voices to be heard.
Yeah.
Because,
Mm-hmm.
when I become completely hardened by my experience and I'm now unable to connect with you, that's only a reflection of my lack of healing.
Yeah.
There's a difference between scabbing and cirrhosis,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yes.
So there's a momentary cocoon where that inner part needs to heal. But if I choose to live in there, now I'm carrying that death with me, that
Mm-hmm.
decay with me. And so when we see that now when we see our other sisters who are playing that role of silencing and diminishing and whatnot, now we can understand she isn't healed,
Mm-hmm.
and we can come to her with that compassion that she has not shown. Sometimes, it's weird. I always think about the end of Moana, on Disney.
I've
I
heard
don't
of
know if
it.
you've seen the cartoon. I was
Mm-hmm.
6 years old, so there's plenty of cartoons going on. But at the end of Moana, Moana takes this heart. It's a little pebble, but it's a heart to a goddess, and this goddess Moana was the only person who realized that everybody else for 1,000 years thought that this interpreted this goddess as a demon, because
Okay.
she was completely covered in like lava, and just covered
Oh,
over in
right.
molten rock, and just not appealing and
Mhm.
not beautiful. And Moana cuts through her howling and screaming and returns her heart to her, and then the
Wow.
scales fall off, and her inner beauty is able to shine,
Mhm.
and then we see her reality. She always was this creative, beautiful being. That was always a part of her, but it was covered, with the pain of her heart being stolen from her. And so I find that to be so powerful in terms of women's empowerment. And we talk, about Women's International Day, and that ability that we have to connect on these deeper levels,
Yeah, I
that
mean,
says, I see you.
yeah, that's a beautiful um, visual of what I think
Mm,
International Women's Day should be about.
yeah.
And is your role as a woman, as an international woman, it should be that.
Mhm.
Whatever
Yes,
role you're taking in it, if you're the woman that needs that heart, or you're the woman that's,
that's right.
seeking the heart, we should be doing that for each other.
That's right.
And that would make such a big difference around the world, and using our skills to do it. So
Yeah,
we know
exactly.
about so many different issues that affect women. As women, can we start to, list them and see how we can play a role to help another sister? And at the same time, simultaneously, there's other sisters out there looking at places where maybe they can help us, right? Because it
That's
goes right
right.
back to the issue we had this morning. I have an issue with the computer. I have another sister helping me. Do I need help with my mouth? No, I talk all day, but technology. So it's like we coming together and we're making it happen, and we can do that in so many areas. We have enough.
Exactly.
My thing from the life so far, because I have so much, there's more life to live. But do I
Exactly.
want a table to sit down where I'm outnumbered, where people are already setting up, have planned at that same table without me of how to plot and plan against me? Or do
Mm,
I just go get a treat and make my big
make
old
your
table
own
and get
table.
what I want to do? I've been making my
That's
table
right.
for a few years now in different
That's right.
ways. There's some ways that, it's a big table and it's going to be hard to replicate, meaning that, the system, but
Yeah.
there's other ways we can make our own table, and we invite
Make your
who
own
we
table,
want
man.
to that
That's
table.
right.
Take the
That's
table,
right.
invite your people, make sure you sit down and plan out properly. The one
That's
thing
right.
that I find we don't give ourselves time to do is plan,
That's right. That's
right?
right.
So I think that's a great point. That's a beautiful visual
Yeah.
from the Moana movie. And
Yes. Yes.
be that superhero for yourself
That's
and
right.
yeah.
Yeah. And on that note,
Mhm.
that point of being able to do it for one another, to bring one another along, it calls at some point almost like, okay, we really need then to be able to demonstrate it. We need to show it. We need to show our own path.
Yes.
I could interact directly with you here in this generation, and I
Mhm.
could share with you how I've overcome. But 100 years from now, you won't know me. you
Yeah.
know 50 years from now, these young people won't know me. So if I get a chance to actually write it down, if I get a chance to create it, to put it out there, to tell my story one way or another, whichever medium is the best way. If I have that opportunity, then it's like, well, now you kind of need to, right? Because now you're unlocking somebody else's door to get them onto, their next path that they're not able to visualize for themselves at
Yeah.
this point. And so this idea of being able to take control of that narrative, because everyone else could look and they could tell our story on our behalf from their perspective,
Mhm.
and they probably, they might over embellish the good and over embellish the bad. Who knows, right? They'll mix truth and
Right.
lies. Who knows what they'll come up with? But we can take that power and control the narrative and decide on the version of our story that is told. How does that make you feel? The ability to decide on the version of your story.
I think I've only done that in my life so far. I
Mhm.
think because I was looking at the question, I was saying, oh, but I think I've been writing it all along because a lot of the choices that I made was based on what I
Yes.
wanted to do.
Mhm.
Who told me to go to Cuba and study there? I
Mhm.
wanted to go because I wanted to see how they did it. I wanted
Yeah.
to meet the people who defied, um,
Mhm.
you know, the capitalist system.
Yeah.
So these were things I would express to my parents, the
Yeah.
desires that I had to go to see what I wanted to learn. I wanted to learn Spanish,
Mhm.
right? I wanted to learn it till I had it fluent.
Mhm.
I didn't know how to do it that way. Classes is all I knew from here, and then you learned about French immersion, but I wanted to be with the people.
Mhm.
So I wrote that part of my story. I wrote it and then it became reality, you
I
know?
love that. I
Yeah.
love that. I want you to stay there. I don't want you to go on. I want you to stay there
Yes.
because a lot of times we've had this
Mhm.
conversation in terms of writing the version of our story after capturing
Mhm.
in past tense. But
Right.
there is a power to writing and creating it in that writing process. There is so much power in that statement, Simone. Please repeat it. Tell us about that.
Okay. Rewind. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote my narrative. I wrote the narrative. I wrote what I wanted. I verbalized it. I had the intention. That's what I wanted to do. And then it happened. It manifested in the way it did. Now, did I know about all this law of attraction, this, that, the other? No, I didn't know. I just knew that this had to be a part of my life. So, it, and you don't know what you don't know. That's a borrowed thing from another mentor. I had a lot of mentors along the way. I did hear another sister speak. Mentorship so 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 important, and just being
Yeah.
able to hear people who have gone through. But again, what do you want to do? You know,
Mhm.
it goes back to vision. You have to write. What is this? What does it say? Write the vision, make it plain.
Make it
You haven't
plain.
actually
Yes,
lived it out yet. The vision that you're writing is not done. It's
that's
what
right.
you want to do. Is my vision
Mm,
done? No, there's so much more that's being fulfilled. You
yes,
know, whose timeline is it according to? It's not
that's
according to
right.
anybody's timeline on this earth anyway. That's why we have so
Mhm.
many great stories from women who defied science, who defied the limitations. They say, no, you can't have a child at that age. Pop, baby, beautiful, healthy.
There we
Who said you
go.
can't? You know? Oh, you're never gonna find a man. All these stories. And
Yeah,
women defy it. They defy. Oh, you can't go to school now. The old women graduating and being what they, at that right time to be the
yeah,
influence of the next generation. So you have so
that's
many
right.
stories. Like you said, the stories
Yes,
that we read, the people that we see are the ones who motivate us and ignite us to be able to make our vision plain because they show us,
yes,
yeah, you can write your story, whatever it is, you can write it and it can happen for you. It happened for me.
that's
It
right.
happened in their way at their time. Now you can do it too. So
That's
yeah,
right.
it's yeah. So that one, I was like, I guess I've been writing it the whole time because there was nothing in my timeline. I should have gone to UFT, University of Toronto,
Mhm.
McMaster. I should have gone to, I think it was Western. Those were the three schools that I
Mhm.
had been accepted to because you had three schools that you could be accepted to, which means I was studying. I was doing a lot of study, right? Trying to defy certain, these stats where they say we can't make it. But again,
Mm,
even in that, right? Even in that, you could say it's a milestone, but no, it wasn't because I was fighting the
right.
other person's narrative about me. What is it that I
Yes.
really wanted to do? That's why I'm saying the next generation shouldn't have to go through that.
That's
That's
right. That's right.
to be fighting a system to prove that you're great. No, you shouldn't have
Yeah,
to prove to anybody that you're great. You're
exactly.
great. You're
Yeah,
just great. And however your greatness is going to be displayed is according
yeah.
to your mission, not according to proving other people wrong.
Somebody else. Exactly.
But I
Exactly.
had that, I should have gone to those universities, chosen one of them. I think I chose one. But my intention was to go and find out something that I didn't know about. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
experience and know the culture of the people, knowing that it was really, people of African descent. I want to say, let me see what makes them different from the rest
Yes.
of us, where they were able to hold for how many years a
Yeah.
different, system in place. And I went and I
Yes.
learned. I learned more than I ever thought I would, right?
Yes.
So that
Exactly.
was,
Yeah. Because I
mhm,
mean, traveling and not just traveling to visit, but traveling to live. I mean,
mhm,
these are very different ways of learning, you know. And if you're studying when you've traveled to live, you're now adding to that experience at a point in time where you're most receptive to learn. So it's
mhm,
so powerful. Now, when we've taken all of this, when we've connected our vision and mission, we're active and we are speaking up when others would try to diminish our voices, and we are pre-writing the story that we are choosing to live. All of that brings us to this place, this victorious place. And in my estimation, it's not a stagnant place. It's a place
mhm,
within. You know, it's a place where we express that victory outwardly, you know. It's not arriving, you know, and it's not settling either. It's being, you know.
mhm.
What about
That's
you?
right.
What imagery do you get? What comes to your mind when you hear a word like victory?
The next chapter,
Mhm.
yeah, walking in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say I'm entering that. I don't know exactly what it looks like, but
Mhm.
it's nice and it's good to know that you're at the helm. You're the one navigating.
Yes.
If you look at success, well, what is you're fulfilling what you set out to do, the fulfillment
Mhm.
of it. But like you said, it's more of you can be in that fulfillment
Mhm.
and you're achieving. So it's still in motion. It's not,
Yes, still happening.
it's still
Yeah.
happening. So you're in the midst
Yeah.
of it. Um, and going back to learning really what it is about fulfilling your mission, right?
Mhm.
And again, you have to know what your mission is. So once you find out what your mission is and you have achieved it, the end of it, I don't know exactly what that looks like, but there are guidances out there to take you through the process so you know you're on the right track, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, victory, you can living a victorious life and trying to make sure that it's in every area of your life. A lot of people have
That's right.
victorious life in one area,
That's right.
you're suffering in another. So
That's right.
um, they say you never stop learning. So if you're
Mhm.
still in the mode of learning and growing, I think that's success.
Absolutely. And that's what we are here for. That's what her story is for. We are here for visionary women who have experienced isolated success, looking to have this holistic
Mhm.
success in their lives, looking to no longer have these silos of, you know, ups and downs and bouncing all over,
Right.
understanding that victory does not happen in retirement. You know, victory isn't about just the end of your days. We can live victorious lives. We
Yes.
can have lifelong victory, you know, and it's really more about who we are choosing to be in every moment, you know, who we
Mhm.
choose to be when the circumstance is good and who we choose to be when the circumstance is bad,
Right.
understanding that we don't have to allow the circumstance to define us. And we
Mhm.
don't have to kowtow to the dictates of, the systems that, you know, we were born into, and the tables that were made and set before us, you know, go rogue, girl. Right? Let's go make our own tables, right? There's more than enough trees to make your own table, right? And so, if you want to go deeper with us, if you want to know more about how we can support you as a visionary woman, you are leading your nonprofit, you're leading in business, you're leading in family, you're leading in life, you're leading all over the place, and you need somewhere where there are other sisters who understand you, who get it, you need that place to recharge and to refuel, then you need to be a part of what we're doing at HERstory. Beginning in April, we will have 5 masterminds for our members every month. And each mastermind is led by a different woman who understands vision, voice, version, and victory, but yet from different perspectives. Literally, it's literally global, right? We're coming to you from 3 different countries, and then we're in 3 different countries, but we're representing, you know, 5 different countries. And so you want to be a part of that. You really want to be able to tap into that sisterhood, that community, that learning and growing from one another, and really just tapping into some of these things, like our sister dropped on us a big one: pre-write the story. Make the decisions that create the story that you want to be authentically told. You know, these are big things that we want to be able to break down into nuts and bolts, and actually put then action steps, and be held accountable, and be moving, and be shaping, and be shaking, so that in all of the areas of our lives we are living this victorious life. And if you just want to come hang out with us, then I'll make sure the links are here available. We have an event coming up in April. It's called Hey Sister, Let's Color, you know, because we want to sit down and color. And we're going to have conversations on affirmations that we need to help us to grow, to deepen that relationship with ourselves, and that relationship with our vision, that relationship with our community, making sure that we don't stay where we are. Simone talked about it. I don't know which direction you need to move, but you need to move. You know, I don't know where you need to go, but you need to go. But how are you going to get there? Let's get those steps all put together, you know, but let's take care of ourselves in the process. Let's take care of our minds, take care of our spirits, take care of our hearts, take care of our bodies in the process. And so that's what we're doing all together. Get yourself your me gift. Get your me gift. Make sure that, you know, you splurge a little bit on you, you know. Get your me gift, bless someone else. We are coming to you with so many partners. I mean, women on top of women on top of women that are just coming saying, yes, yes, we are here. We are here for you. And we're doing all of this in 2021 in support of the Beautiful Foundation, because we believe in that beauty that is inside. We can see past those external skills, and we are calling you based on the beauty that we see on the inside of you. So no matter where you are, or what has been a part of your journey, or what decisions you have made, if you are here now, we are here to say, sis, we see you, we got you, come on in. Simone, any parting words before we hop off?
Parting words. Okay. Yeah, you know, get help. Get help. You know, find exactly what you said. Don't go it alone. Get the help. And a lot of the help that I've had has been through my travels and meeting people who had different life experience, different perspectives, helping me along the way. Because, you
Yes,
know, if you can't see far down the road, if someone has a flashlight, you get the flashlight, then you both see your way, right? So
right.
that help factor is huge. It's going to take you
Absolutely.
very, very far. You don't have to be in the same field necessarily. Um, it's just a matter of getting the help you need for the segment, and then honoring that. Honor the people who have helped you.
Yes,
Why not? Don't forget them. Remember them.
that's right.
Maybe they couldn't help all of your areas of development, but if they helped
Yeah.
one,
Get those points.
remember
Yeah.
them. Yeah, remember them
Yeah.
for that. Honor them. It's not our development wasn't alone. When we were babies, we needed people to take care of us. So all through
Right.
life, we have people who are going to care and nurture and help us in different ways.
Yeah.
It's not that the whole essence of being sisters and being women, you know, it's a communal
Mhm.
approach that will take us further. So
Yeah.
I love this platform. I love the fact that it brings women from different places together
Mhm.
with different skill sets. Um, you know, I didn't even dive into some of the other areas of my life specifically because I wanted to keep it at the place of being female, a woman, how I've navigated so far. Not saying I'm the expert of everything, but
Yes,
happy
yes.
to be here and happy to continue growing and glowing with other sisters and women around the world. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, Simone. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being a part of this community. Thank you for doing Tuesday tidbits in our private group. Thank you for constantly pouring out your heart to the women. And thank you for opening up and sharing your story. Thank you, everyone who has joined us this afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And we'll leave you with our really sweet video. Check out that voice behind there. That is Miss Sophia Soj Jackson, y'all.
Right.
Know the name. Know the name, know the voice. That's right. Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
All right. Bye.
Hey, sister, sitting store. What am I about to preach on? Damn, sister, close the door. Watch what you step out on. I said, hey, sister, so before you become a sin, I said, hey, sister, there is more, even if you think there isn't. When you live your life day to day, there will always be obstacles in your way.